this is Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, and today's topic is all about your relationships that drain you of energy. And the reason why I'm talking about this is that these relationships that drain you of energy will prevent wealth flowing in because they block that wealth. And I'll talk about how to take care of them in just a moment. Stay tuned to hear more. This is Anastasia. I used to be a physics professor specializing in vibrational and quantum physics. After recovering from a serious illness using energy healing on myself, the calling to heal became so strong that I had to quit my 40-year research career. I replaced my 6-figure professor salary within 5 months using a simple but not easy 3-step system that I worked out to grow my healing practice. Now I help other healers grow their practices, whether they're just starting or already have a practice, with this same 3-step system. I'm all about helping you too. Listen in to learn more. Thank you so much for coming back. And as I mentioned, today's topic is all about your relationships and how they can block the flow of wealth. So this is another way to clear your wealth blocks up. And what that means is think of a person in your life. Maybe you don't have one, and then you can just turn this off. But most of the time, most of us have people in our lives that when you speak to them, even for just a few minutes, you feel completely drained. You feel really tired. It's like when you imagine picking up the phone and speaking with them, that you just kind of dread it. I used to have that with a couple of people, and I managed to get over it, and I'll explain how I did that in just a moment. So these are the people that block your wealth. So as I mentioned before, your wealth can be blocked by your outside circumstances. So for example, clutter, things like that, anything that is energetically draining for you can block you, but so can people. And the way that people do that is that there are about 14 ways they connect with you, that you have these basically intimate connections or energetic connections with them. And these are the people that when you even approach them or think their name, you just kind of go, oh, man. And I remember there was one student in my class at a university that I attended that I thought to myself after graduating that I hope I never see that person again, right? And then he turned out to be in my line of work, and I used to see him at every conference. And he even had a professional argument with my former husband, and it really escalated. So don't wish for not ever seeing them again, because they'll follow you until you deal with them, right? So there are going to be people like that in your life that really make you feel tired. So here are the primary ways people connect. First of all, every time you have a conversation with someone, you are exchanging energy with them. If they are giving you their low energy stuff and taking your high energy stuff from you, that's a scientific word. If they're taking your high frequency energy from you, then you will end up not feeling very good. So the first step is to clear that energy out, right? And there's a way to do that. It's very simple. And then the next step is disconnecting all the unnecessary and superfluous cords that you have to people. So the only cord that should exist is that from heart to heart, which exchanges basically unconditional love. I was trying to think of a different word, but unconditional love, meaning the love that you feel for someone without them having to do anything for it, right? And likewise, somebody will love you without putting any conditions on your love that you can love them and they can love you without any conditions. You just love them because they are. And anything above that, any kind of cording, it could be throat to throat, it could be solar plexus to solar plexus, it could be root to root. Any of those others, they can be energy draining, right? And people will seek out your energy because a lot of us that are, let's just say, a little more enlightened or moving forward in our personal development in a way where we are growing, we may be in a growth spurt, emotionally and spiritually, we're in this growth spurt, becoming more and more aware. And they want some of that, but they don't know how to get it. So what they'll do is they'll latch onto you and try and take some of that from you. And it's voluntary. You can give it or not give it. And a lot of us that are in the healing arts and are generous and want to help others, we tend to give a lot of our own life force energy away. It makes us feel depleted, right? So one way to deal with that is just to simply imagine that your connection to them is severed and those cords drop down into the earth. And remember, this is all voluntary. And when you decide that this connection is severed and dropped down into the earth, then they have no choice but to accept your decision because it's a two-way street. The next thing is your relationship with them. So you form agreements when you come into this life, and you also when you first meet them. You start to instantly form these connections, right? So when you meet someone for the first time, you may already have an idea, that's a person I'd like to spend my life with. Like I knew almost instantly when, seeing my now husband 10 years ago, I knew almost instantly that I would spend the rest of one of our lives with each other. There was no discussion, even though it was just a few second meeting from both of our sides. And so sometimes you have that kind of instant connection, right? And you form this set of agreements of how you're going to behave with one another. And our agreement was that we were both all in, and that because of who he is and who I am, it came together very well. But that's not how some of my previous relationships were, where it was imbalanced. The energetic imbalance was there, and I would end up feeling drained and tired and taken advantage of. So if you are feeling that way, then your relationship needs correcting because your contracts and agreements are lopsided or off. And so those need adjusting, and you can release those. I have a free relationship healing that I go through all of these steps so you can have that done for one person at a time. You can get it at scientifichealer.com/relationship. And then the last thing that's kind of important, the last thing is clearing up that karma. So a lot of people think that karma is kind of like the boomerang effect, right? You put something out in the universe and then it comes back to bite you in the rear end, right? So you throw it out and it goes, comes back and harms you. But actually, karma, in the way I envision it, it's voluntary. Right? That means that you choose to be in that situation so you can learn from it. And let's say you've decided you've learned enough, and what you want to do is complete that karma that you started out with that person in this lifetime, right? You decided to go through it. I'll be the victim, you be the perpetrator, or vice versa, right? You be the bully, I'll be the victim. Right? However you've decided it, you can undecide it and cancel it and, delete it and uncreate it. So in this process of going through this, you complete the karma and let the earth soak that karma up and let it come out of your bodies so you're no longer in it. And once you clear that karma up, then that connection with these people that drain your life force energy, that are really draining, especially that very first one, especially if it's a parent, it could even be a sibling that's close in age or even just a little bit older, somebody that, or even an old teacher or something that's going on in your life that created this situation, right? So once you start healing those relationships that have this imbalance of energy, you give more than you get, right? This imbalance of energy. And what'll happen is if that imbalance keeps up, that eventually it gets to be a critical angle, it tips, and the relationship falls apart. And so in order to keep this balance and the energy flowing back and forth correctly and keeping it clean, you need to run through and do a relationship healing. And it will also help the flow of energy. I know that as soon as I started healing all of my old relationships, it got to be a lot easier to grow my wealth, right? Grow, I have quite a bit of personal wealth at this moment. I'm not by any means rich, but I am not one of those unfortunate people stuck with very little in the bank at, retirement age. So I just wanted to reiterate how important it is to keep the energy clean in your relationships, keep them from being off balance, and heal as many relationships as possible so you will be able to thrive and release all of those money blocks or the wealth blocks or even the health blocks. Because one of the reasons I got so sick 30 years ago was because of the imbalance in my relationship. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for taking valuable time out of your day to listen in. If you found this message helpful, please help spread the word by giving the broadcast a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Share it with your friends and be sure to subscribe to my channel with your notifications on. For further training on healing and growing your healing business using my 3-step system, go to www.highpaidhealers.com. And I'll see you in the next video.